wonderful at guiding us back to, you know, living from the heart, because that's where they come from. That's their natural state.
Everyone, it's with great pleasure that I introduce Carol Sharpe for our RSC interview today. Carol is NIHI Sumba's original horse whisperer and the visionary behind NIHI's unique equine wellness program, which we as Riding Safari Club have the pleasure to collaborate on their next retreat in December coming up. As the creator and host of the Equine Intuitive Awareness Retreat, she blends horses, nature, and healing in a truly unforgettable way that she's going to tell us a bit about today. So, Carol, just to start off and to explain to all our viewers, how did your journey start, and how are the horses the key to emotional and spiritual healing through this retreat?
Well, I think from a very young age, I guess most of us that have been horse owners, especially if you're a horse owner at a young age, you know that there is nothing better than when you've had those little upsets in life, or you're battling with something, and that solitary time spent with your pony just seems to melt all those troubles away. So that would be my first experience, I would say. I was lucky enough to grow up on a horse property and be surrounded by horses, and that's where my solace was always made when life was not going my way. So I've always had a deep interest and passion for studying holistic personal development. And it was actually through this that I began to link the how and the why. The being in the presence of horses could bring profound healing effects. So that's why I dabble in it now, because I love to share. Need the most, what they're about. I mean, a horse's dominant need is to feel safe over anything, is that feeling of safety. So I in them needing that safety, and so what they're asking from us, and when we want to partner with them and interact with them, to get the responses and that connection with them, we've got to be a safe member of their herd. And being a safe member of their herd is to be completely present with them, because they are, as I said before, highly attuned to their environment and highly attuned to the present moment. So when we bring ourselves there, and we drop our we live life in our sympathetic nervous system majority of the time as human beings. We're worrying about the future and thinking about the past, and not in the present. So it is the practice of the present moment, is practicing that parasympathetic being in the parasympathetic nervous system, is where we get the best results and where we really generally connect with horses, whether we're doing something physically with them or we're just being in a quiet moment in the presence with them. They are very good actually they're masters at Reiki.
Reiki.
Because of their feel and their being able to sense in energy. So that's a wonderful thing that people will get to learn to administer and to give and receive Reiki. This will actually be taking out into the field as well. We'll go and visit some local villages where horses are not so well off, maybe in ill health. So once people have learnt to connect through energy healing, because to heal is to receive healing is to give as well. So it's an exchange of energy. So we'll be doing that with the local horses, the world as well, ones that have not really been touched by Western hands. So that'll be a wonderful experience as well. Intuitive awakening. So it's awakening your intuition. But what I mean by intuition, it is to find that state where you've got flow and that you're connected to that inner knowing. It's not necessarily going, oh, I know what you're saying. I know what, it's being in contact and in direct connection to that inner knowing. And to do that, you've got to let go a lot, become aware and let go of what's not serving you, because that often blocks that natural flow. I mean, everybody has intuition, but we are, through conditioning of life, we have layers and layers that sort of go on top of that, and we tend to live big time in our head and not from our heart. Mm-hmm. So horses are wonderful at guiding us back to, living from the heart, because that's where they come from. That's their natural state. They're a prey animal, and they rely heavily on being in that natural presence. Mm-hmm. They've got to be aware of their environment. They do this through their highly sensory programming. They're sensitive to vibrations not only just from the normal senses, sight, smell, hearing, but they feel. They're very feeling, and they only spend. They are being a prey animal. They've built to spend most of their time in presence, in calm, and they only have fleeting moments of that. When you're riding your horse, and might freak out at something, but then they can put their head down 2 minutes later and start eating grass as if nothing had happened. And I think that's a really powerful. I think we can really learn from that. It's a powerful thing to learn, rather than if you've got issues, or say somebody said something nasty to you. Human beings have the tendency to go and tell the next person, but did you hear what they said? And we carry it on. We carry that vibration on, rather than sort of coming back to the present moment. Mm-hmm. And that's where our power is. That's where our problem solving is. That's, so horses just bring us there beautifully when we play with them, and when we're aware we're aware of their messages. So that's what we're going to be doing in the retreat is actually learning how to interpret these messages. To uncover, be aware. I think we walk around a lot of the time in not knowing what limits us. Mm. We receive in life what we on how we perceive things, and the way that we perceive things usually comes from our programming, and then we spend majority of our life in our program, and our programming is actually our hard drive is programmed in the first 7 years of life. So it's very important, those 7 years of life. That's what slots us in, and that's what we unconsciously actually run our life for the rest of our life on. And whether we've had good programming or bad programming, or we all got ways where we want to improve and better our life, and have more control in. I wouldn't say control, but being aware of creating our life, rather than just letting life run us. So,
holding the brains.
Yes, yeah. So it's becoming aware of your programming, what serves you, what doesn't serve you, awareness to me is one of the key elements, and that's the starting. Once you become aware, you can do something about it. And the exercises and things that we will be doing with the horses will be bringing out that awareness, and also giving you tools to I call it laying new pipes.
Oops. I have a question, Carol, which is regarding what you just said. So would you bring kids to the retreat? So the programming is from the beginning, like we already programmed properly from the start,
Yeah. Actually, well, kids, yes, I love working with kids. They get it so much quicker than they're less conditioned.
I'm sure.
In the retreat, for comprehension of a lot of the things, if it's a mainly adult audience, you sort of got to deliver things at that. So it's probably their comprehension. I would say kids that are maybe 12 and up would probably follow along. They sense very much. They can sense our discord in us, because they're out there, know how to attune to being a prey animal. They know how to attune to when I say discord, I mean when we're not being authentic, when we're not being and saying and doing, or mainly being what our thoughts are not coordinating with our what we're doing with our body. Just for example, if you're in fear and you're trying to, I got to suck this up, I'm going to pay. They just know it. They can sense your respiratory system, your heart rate from 250 meters away. So there's no lying to you can't fake it to a horse. So. I'm heavily into animal communication, or horse communication in particular, and I've done quite a bit of study on how horses perceive the world and how they actually react, respond, greet. So the main thing is to be aware a little bit of how they're viewing the world. They are social animals, but they're not touchy-feel like us. Our automatic reaction when you see a horse is to, I want to touch it. But we're a predator. They're a prey animal. That's like, I want to catch you. Yeah. So I find just especially if everybody that's about to go and ride or interact with the horses, I get them to become aware of where they are, just ground a little bit, be aware of where your breathing is, and you can offer your hand, just keep your eyes low, not predator, eyes low, and if you let your knuckle just touch there, let them smell you, and then you just drop your hand away, and then you can bring it up. Actually, horses greet each other 3 times. They do touch usually 3 times. Sometimes they do a little squeal, but that's starting to speak their language. So in that little interaction, they're going, you're not wanting to get me. You're just wanting to. You've come away. I'll come back again. You've come away, and you're not interfering. You're not bursting their bubble immediately. So, because they are so beautiful, it is hard not to just go up and fling your arms around them. But especially if you're a strange energy that they don't know, it's actually quite rude to do that. It is.
And just can't wait to be there right now.
Yes, lovely.